Hello, everybody. We are actually I'm going to erase all of my old slides. We are actually going to start indicator 3 today. So happy Monday. And indicator 3 is still solving equations, but you're going to see more than one variable. So we actually call these literal equations. And a lot of the times it's formulas. So you might see more than one variable in an equation and you're just solving for one specific variable. So today we are actually going to solve for y on every single problem. That's actually going to be similar to your homework as well. Your homework today has 12 problems, and I'm going to show you guys a way to solve these. And the first example we're going to do is something that looks like this. So we have, and just bear with me, 5x equals 9y plus 10. All right, so 5x equals 9y plus 10. We're solving for y. So what we are going to do, whatever variable you're solving for, in this case it's y, we're going to put the y term on the left and everything else on the right. So what we need to do here, in order to get the y term on the left, we actually need to move this over. And to move it over, you would subtract 9y to both sides. But there's no other y term to subtract it to, so I'm just going to put a negative 9y. Now the 5x we don't want on that side. We actually want it over here. So how to move it? We would subtract it. There's no other x term, so we're going to just subtract 5x and then bring down our plus 10. All right, so what we're doing here is we are just, if you're moving things from one side to the other, you're essentially just adding or subtracting. So if it's a positive, you subtract it. If it's a negative, you add it. So if you move sides, just flip the sign. Makes it much faster. All right, so then to get y by itself, we just have to divide. And in this case, we're dividing by negative 9. So every single number in the equation gets divided by a negative 9. And so then we simplify what's left. Two negatives make a positive 5/9 x. And then a positive 10 and a negative 9 would make a negative 10/9. Fractions can be reduced if you would like. I'm not going to require it. But that's totally up to you. So these are some things we're going to look at. So I'm going to give you guys another one kind of like this. And then I'll give you guys one to try on your own. All right, so let's go with another one. X plus 2y equals w. X plus 2y equals w. Think of your equal sign as a barrier. The only thing we want on the left is the y term. If it doesn't have a y, move it on over. So we don't want this x term to the other side. We want it on the opposite side. So if I want to move it over, I would subtract it. Now I can't add an x and a w. They're not the same letter. And the reason why that w is positive is because a plus is because it's positive. Now we never write it, but I promise it'll make sense later. When we divide, we're dividing by 2. So we're dividing by 2. So our final solution would be y equals. Now, I want you guys to know this is not, that first term here, this is not negative 2. We never write it, but there's a 1 there. So this is actually negative 1/2 x. Same thing with the w, that's a 1. So that's really plus 1/2 w. And there we have it. The formulas, it's going to look a little unsolved because it doesn't say like y equals a number. But we are manipulating equations because we use this a lot in formulas. So this is going to be a very good building block for chemistry. And I know not all of you will be taking chemistry, but some of you might be taking integrated chemistry and physics later on. And this definitely helps you with other courses, and it just helps us with our equation skills. So I want to try one more, and then I'll let you guys try one on your own. All right, this one I'm not even going to put a number in it. I'm going to do all letters. So let's go with m equals y times z plus r. We're solving for y. So which term has a y? It's this one. So guess what? We want it over here. YZ, but it was a positive. So when I move it over, it becomes a negative, equals. Now on the other side, this m needs to be over here. So let's make it a negative m because we would subtract it over, plus r. Now we have everything's attached. We're ready to divide. The only thing we want is a y. So everything else that is not a y gets divided. So we want to divide by negative z. Divide by negative z. Divide by negative z to all three parts. And the reason why we want to do that is because on this side, these would cancel. So would the z's. And so we're left with y equals 2 negatives would make a positive m divided by z. Here, a positive divided by a negative would be a negative r divided by z. And that would be it. So I'm going to give you guys one to try. Again, you're trying it on your own. Do the best you can. Hit pause after I type or write the original. So something like this. All right, hit pause. All right, so hopefully you hit pause and you're ready for the solution. The y term stays put. The negative z, 4z is what needs to be moved. So if it's a positive here, if I want to move it over, it becomes a negative. And then you bring a plus 8. All right, our last step, divide by 2. So every number gets divided by 2. Now this one, you don't have fractions. It actually comes out to whole numbers. Negative 4 divided by 2 gives us a 2z. Make sure you are very careful not making your z's and 2's look the same. I have that trouble sometimes. And then 8 divided by 2 would give us a plus 4 for our solution. All right, so I have one more example, and then I promise I am done. But you will see one very similar to this on your homework. Do you guys know the formula for area of a triangle? If you want to find the area of a triangle, we're going to do 1/2 base times height. Now, I'm going to solve this for the height. Now, you might have different variables, but make sure you pay really close attention to this. All right, we are solving for h. All right, now I want to ask you guys, do you guys agree that those, if they're equal, you can just switch them? If you just have those, you can flip-flop them. Now, we could move them over and make them negative, but when you would divide two negatives, they'd end up being positive anyways. So, and this is the same thing. Like if you know 3 equals 2, you know 2 equals 3. It's okay if you have two things just to switch them, but that's not what we're doing here. All right, so the bell rang. I'm going to promise I'm going to hurry. You might hear kids coming in. Just be patient. All right, so on this, we are solving for h. We want to leave this one alone. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of that fraction. That means divide by 2. The opposite is to multiply by 2. So that would leave us with base times height equals 2a. And then if you want to get h by itself, b is attached to it, so we have to divide. So we would divide both sides by b. So our final solution would be h equals 2a divided by b. And there we have it. So make sure you go back to the homepage and get your assignment. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to let me know.